Hello, everyone! After the rather modest premiere of the new film Snow White, which took place this Saturday in Los Angeles, among a select circle of guests, the first reviews of this cinematic work have begun to appear online. To summarize briefly, many are already calling it the best film ever released by Disney. Nothing as brilliant and grandiose has ever been created by the studio. In particular, many mention the magnificent performance by Rachel Zegler, whose talent is so dazzling that any critic's attempts to question her performance simply have no chance. However, it is worth noting that all these rapturous reviews come from critics and specialized publications that are very close to the studio, which may suggest that there is some bias in their evaluations. After all, despite the seemingly resounding success at the premiere, Disney is strictly enforcing an embargo on any reviews until the official release date, a practice typically implemented when the studio fears a negative reaction or a catastrophic failure. Nevertheless, let's try to figure out what those who have already seen the film have to say. Perhaps the whole world was mistaken, and we are indeed witnessing a unique masterpiece. Or perhaps it is merely another attempt to mask shortcomings in a massive PR campaign. Despite the fact that most global events related to the premiere of Snow White were canceled by Disney, and even the red carpet in Los Angeles did not see its triumphant debut, the film was still presented this Saturday to a select group of journalists and critics. These individuals immediately began sharing their impressions, and as one might guess, the first reviews were exclusively laudatory. Naturally, one might assume that critics under the wing of Disney express their enthusiasm in the most positive manner possible. But even understanding this peculiarity, I personally did not expect such a torrential flow of praise poured generously in the direction of the studio's new release. For example, one publication traditionally considered very close to the Mouse House described Snow White as a veritable visual feast and called it one of the best remakes created by Disney in recent years. The bold headline of this article read, "Disney's Snow White remake finally unveiled at the Hollywood premiere." And the first reviews claim the film is a stunning hit. Reporter Racy Casey Steffen, in her article, especially highlighted Rachel Zegler's brilliant performance, describing her as a dazzling supernova on the cinematic horizon. She added that the film is a true visual banquet with breathtaking new musical numbers and dozens of charming animated animals that enliven the story in their own magical way. It is interesting to note that even those elements which were previously criticized for excessive computer graphics, such as the animated dwarfs, are now presented in an entirely new light. They appear enchanting and magical, like genuine fairy tale characters. Perhaps this is one of the most astonishing aspects of this new release, which has been preserved and transformed for the modern audience. But let's continue reviewing the feedback. Many critics noted that the screenplay has been imbued with new depth through the protagonist's passionate desire to become the leader her father believed she could be. Moreover, the film has attempted to introduce a fresh twist to the classic story by adding a sweet love story, almost like an apple pie. Although I must admit, comparing it to a pie might bring a smile. Such comparisons, despite their almost cloying sweetness, lend the film a certain distinct charm. However, it is precisely this saccharine quality of the reviews, their almost excessively positive tone, that raises questions. Doesn't all of this seem somewhat forced and artificial? In one article, it is mentioned that online critic Christopher Reese wrote about the film as follows. Snow White is not only one of the best remakes of recent years, but also a film that manages to recreate the magic of the famous 1937 animated classic. Rachel Zegler, as Snow White, is nothing short of magical. Yes, indeed, such words sound almost like a promotional slogan, and many might think, well, someone here has clearly gotten carried away by excitement. But it is important to remember that even the most laudatory reviews can sometimes be the result of coordinated PR efforts. Film editor Haas Polk also did not shy away from joining the chorus of praise, although he noted that he might later regret his words. He pointed out that Snow White impressed him musically, especially the opening number and the sinister segments featuring the Evil Queen, and emphasized that Gal Gadot handled her role superbly. The only aspect that, in his opinion, might have been slightly confusing was the CGI of the dwarfs, which perhaps still needs some refinement, yet even this nuance could not mar the overall positive tone of the review. Another interesting voice in this symphony of approval belongs to a well-known Hollywood reporter who literally lavishes praise on the film from head to toe. His article begins with a bold statement, "Rachel Zegler stuns." And then he goes on to describe how the Los Angeles premiere was a grand affair, despite the limited access given to critics. He claims that the film turned out to be far better than expected, if one does not count the controversial moments with computer graphics, which he considers almost amusing. Such a position really makes one wonder. Are we witnessing genuine emotions, or is it part of a carefully orchestrated marketing campaign? As it turns out from numerous reviews, another point of view is beginning to circulate online. Some users and independent reviewers point out that all these glowing reviews appear too coordinated and synchronized. They believe that we are witnessing a well-rehearsed PR campaign in which select media personalities were invited to a limited premiere and provided with a unified press release so that their impressions coincide. According to these critics, such an approach is designed to stifle months of disputes and negative reviews before the film is released to the general public. Moreover, the headlines of the articles often preemptively create a positive attitude. For instance, with phrases like, "Haters of Snow White will not like this," which only intensifies the sense that everything has been meticulously planned down to the last detail. On social media, accounts have even begun to appear that publicly label themselves as haters of Rachel Zegler. Yet, paradoxically, they confess that they really liked the new film. This phenomenon, according to some experts, can serve as a classic PR tactic aimed at diluting any negative reaction and demonstrating that even the most vehement critics can change their minds under the influence of Disney's impressive new release. In this context, it is worth recalling that such strategies are not new for major studios. We have witnessed on several occasions how carefully crafted campaigns help smooth over potential failures before a film reaches its wide audience. It is also impossible not to mention that Disney continues to enforce a strict embargo on the publication of preliminary reviews and commentaries. Major journalists and industry experts are forced to communicate solely through Disney's internal media teams, avoiding any probing or uncomfortable questions. As mentioned earlier, the embargo will be lifted only on March 19th at 3 p.m. Eastern European Time, just 24 hours before the first public screenings. This is a classic strategy employed by major studios when they are confident that the actual reviews might not be as favorable, preferring to keep the audience in suspense until the official release. Under normal circumstances, large companies allow reviews to be published several days, sometimes even a week before the release, to create buzz, shape audience expectations, and build a positive narrative. But if things are not going as planned, such measures help delay the negative reaction and prepare the ground for a massive PR maneuver. It is interesting that such a practice has often become a subject of discussion both among professionals and ordinary viewers. Many note that, in the case of Snow White, the coordination of reviews appears almost mechanical. Almost every article repeats the same phrases, such as, "Rachel Zegler is the true Snow White," "The film revives the magic of the 1937 animated classic," "The heroine gains new depth," and so on. This repetition raises questions about how independent the critics' opinions really are, and whether it is all part of a pre-planned marketing campaign designed to create a uniformly positive atmosphere around the new release. On the other hand, it cannot be denied that many reviews seem sincere and filled with genuine enthusiasm. Several well-known media personalities have already declared that watching Snow White almost brought them to tears. And for those who typically never cry during films, that is truly impressive. Some even claim that the emotions were evoked not only by the visual effects and musical numbers, but also by the depth of the storyline into which the creators poured their hearts. Perhaps we are indeed witnessing the birth of a new masterpiece that will not only revive the magic of the classic animated film, but also open a completely new chapter in cinematic history. Against the backdrop of such fervent discussion, it is worth noting that modern technologies and contemporary approaches to filmmaking allow Disney to bring to life projects that once seemed impossible. Computer graphics, innovative animation techniques, and a unique screenplay approach make Snow White a vivid example of how tradition and innovation can coexist to create something truly magical. And when it comes to the musical accompaniment, it is undeniable that the new songs are truly memorable and excellently performed. Undoubtedly one of the key factors behind the film's success. It is also impossible not to mention that the criticism coming from so-called Disney-affiliated journalists raises questions among independent reviewers, especially in light of the fact that on social media. For residents of the USA who are accustomed to a diversity of opinions and independent journalism, such an approach by Disney might seem unusual, yet it is not without its charm. After all, in a world where every studio tries to present its new release as an absolute masterpiece, Snow White is already stirring up heated discussions, debates, and admiration. And this in turn is a sign that the film truly possesses a unique atmosphere capable of captivating the imagination of audiences around the globe. If you haven't seen Snow White yet, I encourage you to definitely head to the theater as soon as the embargo is lifted, because that is when you will be able to form your own opinion about the film. And if you have already attended the premiere or watched the trailer, please share your impressions in the comments. Your opinion matters to us. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button so you don't miss any fresh movie news and exclusive reviews of the best films from Disney. At this moment, all that remains is to wait for the embargo to be lifted. It has been officially confirmed that this will happen on March 19th at 3 p.m. Eastern European Time, just 24 hours before the first public screenings begin. This is a classic strategy employed by major studios when they hope that the positive early reviews will help create buzz and set the tone for future critiques. However, many experts and film enthusiasts are already questioning whether this move is an attempt to delay the inevitable critical assessment of the film. After all, history has shown that overly idealized early reviews can later be replaced by a torrent of criticism once the audience is given the chance to express their unbiased opinions. Taking all of the above into account, it can be confidently stated that Snow White is not just a remake of a classic fairy tale, but a full-fledged cultural phenomenon capable of igniting discussions among film buffs and viewers from all corners of the world. In today's film industry, where every premiere turns into a major event, Such a film is bound to find its place among the favorite new releases. Perhaps, in time, we will see how the initial effusive reviews give way to more balanced and objective assessments. But even now, one thing is clear. Disney has once again proven its ability to create films that evoke strong emotions, spark debates, and, of course, generate plenty of controversy. Dear friends, if you are interested, this concludes our review, but the discussion is just beginning. And finally, we want to emphasize that despite all the attempts to control the narrative, every viewer will ultimately be able to decide for themselves whether this film lives up to the expectations and deserves a place among the great cinematic works. Remember that your opinion matters, and every reaction helps shape a future where movies become even more exciting and diverse. So friends, stay active, share your impressions, hit the like button, and subscribe. Together we are creating a community that loves movies and is ready to discuss even the most controversial new releases. Thank you to everyone who read our detailed review to the end. We hope you found this text interesting and useful. Stay tuned for updates, as very soon we will share the first reactions from audiences following the official release, as well as new details and insights that emerge as the premiere day approaches. See you soon, and enjoy the dazzling emotions of watching great films. Sincerely, your film review team, always ready to share the freshest and most interesting news from the world of cinema. If you have any questions or would like to know more details, please leave your comments. We always enjoy engaging with you. And don't forget to click the bell icon to be the first to know about our new publications. Thank you for your attention, and see you soon on our channel.